Yes, I would like to say greetings and the best salutations. Today, I just want to express a little bit when it comes to uh, the word, the term, uh, substance. In doing so, if you look it up in a Latin sense, it is a it is really happens to do with one's essence. Essence. Um, there is a thought from a thinker whom I have come to appreciate his thinking, if I may use that word, of how he know how to connect the dots, because the answers to anything that one reads is within what he or she reads or is reading. You have what references, inference, the meaning behind the meaning, and then you have that which you are referencing, to be able to substantiate your case or make your point. Point is in a direction. Anytime you deal with direction under the teachings of Common Humanity Mission, which there are 4 keys to success when it comes to the 4 things that we face every day: problem, questions, issues, and needs. You deal with directions or directives. You deal with the question and answer period. Question and answer period, yes. And the question and answer period is design. The design is something that is architectural design. That which you build is to address. You see in that word add, and you see the word dress. Dressing something up. You could be, which I'm getting ahead of myself, to erect something as to become a model. But the address, it also could indicate in the sound connotations, association, but it could represent a form of arrest. Yes, add dress or add rest. This universe is a place of existence, is a rest, a place of rest. And may we find peace one with another. And when we find peace with one with another, then we are no threat to each other. Before that, you you must be civil. Civility come into complete being civil. That makes you a citizen. And before that, there is accountability. And when there is accountability, there is healing. Yes. Healing does not mean that the damage never existed. It means that it doesn't control you. And that seemed to be the problem with a mentality of an individual or even a people and humans that they want to control. But to address this question and answer period, so it's a question of governance. Governance. And we look at the word government is, in a Latin sense, mean mind control. So maybe when it's dealing with thought manipulation and mind control thought, maybe thought, the Jehuti, the way of words. Every thought, I've come to learn to know, don't mean that it's so, begins with a seed. Seed. Yes. And then you could look at a seed as something that is agrarian in thought. Agrarian, yes. Agriculture, then you have in the word culture. Yes, indicators of one's directives of intent. By virtue, there is a term called parakeel or parakesis, called what is called in the English Bible in the Greek sense called a parable. Brother by the name of Brother whom I have a lot of respect for in his thinking and connection. Imam Muhammad said that the parable means to check one's nature. But the parakesis or parakeel in what is called scripture. Scripture is something that deals with the graphio, something that is graphical or an illustration. An illustration. You know, sometimes you can look at the news and it says it's very graphical, very graphic, I should say, very graphic. And you get into the point where you know that children learn in picture form. You know, you got the word a cat, then you say categorize. Categorize, see the image of a cat, a picture of a cat. Categorize. Catastrophic. They come up with terms and words. But the parakesis, or in the parakeel, but what I'm talking about here in this wise is that it is a redemptive power. Yeah, redemptive power. Redemptive power. And that redemptive power leads you to virtue. Virtue. Yes. And anytime you're dealing with virtue, I believe that it is associated with a question and answer period. By one becoming reacquainted with him or herself. And self is the soul, a human investment, the soul. The soul, yes, it's a human investment. So, if that be the case, when you're talking, I was talking about one's loss of one's human essence. There was a local group in the D.C. area, and maybe some other groups who have called themselves like Rare Earth or Rare Essence. In the book, commentary, selected verses of the Holy Quran, documented from the teachings of Imam Muhammad. I don't promote any religion, even though some would say it's not a religion. Islam is not a religion. But what I do promote is the value of self-worth. Yes. But it says here that when human essence, because we're dealing with substance abuse. Because I make my case that we suffer from SDLDA, social disorder learning disability. I always say that Chinka Diop says once you throw off the ecology of the environment, one's intellectual aptitude for learning becomes difficult. Yes, and also I'm dealing with aesthetics. And some who could associate with existentialism. But I think that the Ethiopians constellated it, but they looked and see how up above and see how the stars, the moon, and the sun, how they was interdependent of each other. That they're coexisting up there, and trying to see how coexist down here. That which coexists up there coexists down here, and the Egyptians culturalized it. The Romans militarized it. The Greeks intellectualized it, and the British like they colonialized it. Yes, and then we look at what we call the Americans. I just can't picture the term right now for them in that stage. But people have a hard time believing in something or accepting something outside of themselves. I'm not saying, just think about it, outside of yourself. I think humans look for a place of belonging outside of themselves. And humans use terms like it's surreal, like they can't believe it's happening. And it's something that this euphoria or something that they never experienced before, because if there is an open enemy, it's not only the mind and the imagination of humans, but if there is an open enemy, one has to look inside of himself when it comes to human instinct. And there's opening, that is the human instinct is uncontrollable, and that is the human emotion. Yes, if you are unable to control and manage your emotions, boy, you got an enemy on hand, at your on your hands. Yes. I mean, human emotions, they are naturally in the humans. You have to manage them and control it, because if not, it will control you. It does not really necessarily wants to bow down to you. Yes. When I mean bow down to you, I mean when you can, your mind, maybe someone say your mind is emotion, but if I'm trying to make a connection here when it comes to just being able to manage, or maybe some would say get out of your feelings, and that's difficult to even suppress your emotions. I don't know if you even can suppress your emotions. There are mechanisms that people have built in just to what they call to defend and protect their ego. But the misuse or the abuse of substance is the human essence, and it happens to deal with one's energy. When man and woman get together, there's an exchange of energy. But the pleasure of as possibility, the pleasure of both male and female was not for them. The pleasure for them for them themselves, it was to take pleasure and using their creative ability and taking pleasure in what their hands have produced. Yeah, take pleasure, and because there comes a what? When there's pleasure, there comes responsibility. Yes. So the human essence, it says that when the human essence is lost, the identity is lost. The identity is from the book. It says when human essence is lost, the identity is lost, and if there is no human essence present, though it may be residing in the quiet recesses of your human soul, if you're not doing anything to bring it up to your conscious like bring it up to your conscious level, you are void of human essence. Such persons tend to be like copycats. They get their lifestyle, yes, that's interesting, living form or behavior form, for whatever attracts them in the environment. We see that environment. I realize that one must be in pursuit of a healthy lifestyle. Yes, in pursuit of a healthy lifestyle. The deviant mind, as the brother Imam would say, is that it's unable to distinguish sickness from health. Sickness from health. But it's the environment. Remember I said, I said we suffer from SDLD, social disorder, learning disability. Is that the environment, and the ecology is thrown off. The ecology and environment is thrown off. And it says here that the popular lifestyle for our general public today is too playful and too disrespectful. Yes. Now, as I said earlier, substance abuse, the human essence. The issue is character resolve. Character, because character is the material that's been given us to build on our humanity. Now, people use terms like there is mental health concerns, substance abuse, and mental health concerns, right? I say that social stress leads to mental pain, and mental pain leads to physical harm. Yes. Because humans have this need for affection. I believe a brother by the name of Fritz Perls, or the Gestalt theory. Everybody, whatever, if you look it up, you'll see for yourself. But I know that humans have this need for affection, because someone comes up with something and give it a name. It does not necessarily mean that they are the creators of it. Everything always evolves, and I think that's a challenge with humans, because life is a living organism, and the prisons that humans are in is that they tend to relish and live in the past. Yes, and they dwell on the past. I've said that the young is being haunted by the adult, and the adult is being haunted by their youth. Because now we're dealing with child abuse and child neglect. Yes, I want to share something in this wise and see if I could just give you a definition of it. I think it's page 170. Let me see if I'm right here. This was shared and talked about in a class session. Let's see. Because we want to deal with this here. Okay. Childhood neglect. Another form of childhood abuse that can be more passive but just as impactful is childhood neglect, which can be both physical and emotional. Examples of physical neglect. The power is in the example that one set. That's the model. Of physical neglect, including denying a child necessities such as food or water. Emotional neglect is when a child's basic emotional or mental needs is ignored. Interesting. Yes. So, let me proceed on if you can follow me if you can. But the human essence now. The need for affection. And when you don't get that affection, that what you need, the adequate amount of affection, that you may need more than what is required. That's not for me to say, but I know affection is very important in the social milieu, if I may use that word, in the social environment in which we live. People touch, they grab, they see, they hear, they taste, they touch, and they feel. That's an emotion. That's an emotion. But the mental concerns, we look at the word mental. You have the word all. All could mean the. Meant could mean to stand tall, to be tall, something that you are erecting. And that which you are erecting is a statue. A statue. And a statue could be a model. It could be an inanimate object, but it's something that is being sculptured. Yeah, something that is being sculptured, or something that is casting. It's like a cast. And you have cast in movies, or a character. And you have cast in movies and a character. And that cast in a movie, you have a leading cast, or a leading character, or the leading role in the cast. Then you have the support cast who support this model. This model, yes. Of the abuse of what? Of human essence. The abuse of energy. The abuse of the material resources. The abuse. More than what is needed. And then you do more than what is needed, and those behind the scenes become very fanatical. They call it a fan. Very fanatical. And when they see someone that is celebrated such as that, due to their the substance abuse of the human essence that it takes from them. I'm talking about it takes from the ones who are in awe with another human beings, and therefore they become very fanatical, and you can see people just like they fall out. They fall out. I mean, it's substance abuse, brother. It's really it. It is substance abuse. Whether people want to accept it or not, it's fine. That's what it is. But this is a human tendency, though. This is a human tendency, and but it is something that is being erected, and that which is being erected, it is a mentality or a model for people to follow. And then what it does, it creates an ally. Yeah, an ally. Yeah, an ally. Yes. And in that ally, people bind together. And when they bind together, they do it like nations to protect each other. And they make what they call alliances. But that which is being erected in this model, when it comes to the substance abuse, the human essence, the abuse of human essence is the substance abuse. In what it represents. Let's say it represents that which is being sculpturally or is sculpturally in order to be erected. And you know that if I go to the three beings that is being erected and as a model, is that you see that even the obsolete, you know what I'm saying? And you look at excuse me, how humans build buildings, you know what I'm saying? It is being erected, it is a model. Excuse me. And people become very in awe or fascinated with it. I mean, that's natural. But in that fascination, in that human, you must manage your emotions to a point that if you don't, then you start what? Worshiping it and bow down to it. And that's what people, humans do with other human beings. But that which is being erected is the human being. The human being is being erected. And then the animal being is being erected. The animal being. And the mythical being is being erected. And then we're dealing with what we call, as I said again, a statue. And then when you deal with a statue, you deal with stats. And when you deal with stats, you deal with statistics. And then when you deal with statistics, you deal with data. Yes. So, and that's how I come up with the point of saying this here, is that the substance abuse and that which is being abused is the human essence, and that is the energy of human beings who, even when people misappropriately abuse people, labor. They make them work while the others behind the scene are living leisurely. That's substance abuse. Yes, it is. It's substance abuse. And you can find it under whatever ism you want, communism, socialism, or capitalism, whatever ism you want to call it. When people abuse others, people, labor, their time, and their energy. If you look at certain people who are celebrated, have developed this adulation for success. And once they find out that whatever it is that they want people to think that they are, and they really are not that, because most psychological breakdowns is due to living phony lives or having a phony identity about yourself. And that's how most psychological breakdowns come about. Also, one becomes very depressed trying to fit in, and when they realize that they are not accepted, they become depressed, and then that leads to some form of another form of substance abuse, or even an addiction. Even though some thinkers in that field, mental health field, if I may use that language, unable to really put a definition on it, but they have something data to go on, to come up with something that they have concluded is possibly so. It's quite interesting, man, that I think that one has to take a different approach when it comes to dealing with what we call drugs or substance abuse. And it's not all science. It's not all when we deal with the clinical. It's a human tendency for humans to exploit and take advantage of each other. It's just interesting to say the least as I process this this thought. But what I do know is that perception, how a person sees him or herself, becomes his or her perspective. And once a person changes how he or she sees himself, their perspective will change. Their reality will change. Because one thing I realize about reality is royal. And there is an obligation that we have. And that is to treat people how we want to be treated. That's the treatment. Until next time, seehumanity.org. Common Humanity Mission. Promoters of the value of self-worth. Communicators with precision and clearer image to the world. through 5.5 channels of communication: understanding, tolerance, temperance, confidence, and respect. Yes. Until next time, process your thoughts. You can think. You don't have to think like other folks are thinking. Some would say that the answer is in you, so be it. But follow the language. Follow the language. Look at the meaning behind the meaning. And it's not about trying to make some type of impression. It's not necessarily, you don't have to try to prove that you are different than anyone else, because we all are unique in our very own way. That's all. It is saying, let your conscience be your guide. And wherever your heart is, that where your treasures would be also. And let no one try to define what success is for you. Soon as each and every one of us came out of our womb, that's success. We are here. So we are meant to be here. And we are meant to contribute and serve as a benefit, to serve one another as an asset, and be contributors for the development of one's intellect, for the betterment of one's humanity.